shout out to Tibo and Debo, two jerks in a pod. Your enemies don't stand a chance against you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Two Jerks in the Pod. I'm Debo. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, but in my screen, he's down there. So there's Tebow.
I am not there. I am too. Yeah, I'm right beside you right now.
This way.
Oh, you're totally off, bruh.
Oh, you're off, but it's okay.
Totally off, bruh. It's okay though. It's okay.
At least in mine, is our special guest, longtime friend.
Oh,
the other way. I reordered it. Now I'm below you, and she's
that way.
There you go. Perfect. Now we're good.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right. Cool.
So today we got a treat for you guys. We brought Chanel on to talk about the infamous Tinder. I was about to say Tinder Swindler.
He's infamous now, eh?
Infamous. He is.
This guy scorched the internet after 24 hours of that documentary being released. I kind of felt like I was one of the first. I feel like I was one of the first people to watch it. I just didn't comment online. And then I seen the ripple effects. I was like, damn, everybody saw this, and I think everybody had fun with it. But let's talk about it though. I want to see what everyone's opinions were, and
Well, you are the one who told me about it.
Okay, so I guess maybe I can break the ice.
Yeah, break it. Okay.
Chanel, would you like to introduce yourself and some of the things that you're doing in these social spaces?
In the social spaces, well, I guess you call me by my full name, Chanel, but my people call me Elle as well. People, and it's on my Instagram as well. So I have my own podcast, which is My Reality, and Debo's been on it.
Yes, I have.
So yes, and we had a great discussion about Marvel and a lot to do with comics and whatnot. And that's pretty much where I am in the social space. But just the podcasting, and of course I'm on Instagram, Facebook, but all that stuff.
Right, cool. Yeah. And again, thank you for joining our podcast. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I'm excited. I've never been on, and this is my first time being on someone else's podcast without actually hosting it. So it's different.
How does it feel?
Feels nice. I don't have the pressure of hosting.
that's very true. You're right. Okay. Totally right. Like it. So perfect segue, Debo. Started. Actually, it's on me. Sorry. Okay. So, Tinder Swindler.
It's a mouthful.
I know it is.
Bit of a tongue twister.
I watched it. My take on it was that it was very informative, and in a way, I guess I could say there were partial truths to it in terms of, I guess, how people fall for, the false narratives and the false presentations with dating, but it also shows that people are obviously liars when it comes to dating. People go to any extreme, I guess, to fulfill whatever their agenda or goal is in the dating world. But in a nutshell, I thought, both sides of it, him as the swindler, to pull something like that off, I mean, it was brilliant, but at the same time, it's like you got to be some type of, pardon my French, but you got to be effed up in a way mentally to pull that off and kind of stick to that same.
He's an evil genius.
Yeah, that routine and commit to those lies. It's brilliance. And, all his enemies that were after him. That was a perfect Hollywood story. But then on the flip side, the ladies also, I feel like there were a lot of red flags off the jump. And, once you kind of fall for the bait of, success and money, it could lead to the swindler being successful in his swindling. Yeah, so that's my, I guess, breakdown of the show so far.
So you mentioned his enemies. I saw a recent post where he said that he was thinking about moving to Toronto with his girlfriend to escape his enemies.
Oh man. I don't know if he wants to do that. Toronto's not a
place to hide.
Yeah, Toronto's not
Would you
the,
go
you know,
to
the
Toronto?
nicest place. Like people think Toronto is, you know, all cozy and comfy, but for someone like that, no,
We're not that nice.
yeah, he'll have a hell of a time surviving Toronto.
I don't know if Torontonians aren't nice. I think we're just in our own world. I think we just.
Okay.
What I mean is we're not as nice as people think we are.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I've been to Montreal, and I'm gonna say it. People in Montreal may not like me, but people in Montreal can be assholes.
Oh,
yeah. No, that's a fact. That's
in general.
In Montreal.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. I think because everyone's put this like Canadians are so nice, and
yep.
I mean we're nice, but if you piss us off, like you don't want to see.
If you give us a reason to,
we are not going to be nice to you.
We're not the ones.
We're not. You can't walk all over us.
We're called the Screwface Capital.
It's true. That was our name at one point
in Toronto.
Yeah, we were Screwface Capital. Everyone used to call Toronto Screwface Capital.
I didn't know we were Screwface. I knew we were the center of the universe, which I mean, where's the lie? Come on, I'm just kidding. People hate that. Everyone outside of Canada hates us. It's just the way it is.
It's all good. Like you said, we're in our own world.
Yeah, I feel bad. And I just said Montreal. I feel bad because I know people in Montreal and they're actually really nice. But I've had experiences with some people in Montreal that was very different than I have in Toronto. So I don't want to like generalize the whole city because I know there's some nice people that live there.
But you're not the only one that's said that. Before I went to Montreal for the first time, people kind of told me, listen, people can be mean there. You just got to, be careful and don't speak English in the wrong place because they don't like it if you don't speak French, apparently. And I learned the hard way. I spoke English at the wrong place and I just got ignored.
Damn.
They just, so I get it. Yeah. So Elle,
but we don't want to go too off topic. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to bring it back. I was going to ask you, what did you think of the Tinder
Swindler? Mm-hmm. It was entertaining. The way they did it all when the first girl was the part of the documentary where the first girl who he was swindling, who he kind of she fell for him, how he kept saying that his enemies needed the money, and then she was sending him the money, but then you could see on the other end, the other girl who he was just friends with, not the one he was, I guess the second girl who he was just friends with, how he was using that money that the first girl was bringing, like you were seeing it in real time and you're just like, what? Yeah. But I kind of at first was, in the beginning thinking, yes, it was the money and the flashy, the private jets and all that. But he also really knew how to get to their hearts. In the beginning of the first girl, she said about how when they went on their date in the hotel, he was able to listen to everything she was saying. It was like he was taking in everything about her because he was a really good listener. I was like, well, that's a red flag because that's not usually men.
There you go. Thank you.
I was like, you're really good listener. But no, I mean, you might find an anomaly of a man who actually listens to you. But it was very interesting. I was like, he let me talk and like he was just listening to everything I was saying. But of course, he was taking in that information and using it against her. And so he emotionally caught her up in it as well. It wasn't just also the money, but it was also, I want to have your kids, I want to get married, and things that she wanted that clearly she probably talked about on the first date, and making her feel like he was her boyfriend and that this was someone that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. So I mean, I could see how he's a sociopath. He's crazy. Okay. But it was entertaining nonetheless.
It was.
I mean, it's kind of like Catfish. You watch Catfish, people will give money sometimes to people they don't even know. At least she met this person. Like they actually hung out a few times and she hooked up with him. So, but if you watch Catfish, some people don't even meet these people, individuals, and they end up giving money.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Because they've been talking for, a year. So it's not unusual for this to happen, but the way he did it and how he Ponzi schemed them was amazing, was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it, the Ponzi scheme, because he was essentially using the money that he scammed out of one woman to finance his exploits with other women.
That's exactly
what
it
was. Money from you take money from girl one to finance exploits with girl two. Take money from girl two to finance exploits with girl three.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That's
Again, the evil genius.
So
yeah.
I guess Debo, what's your take on it? I guess you've probably found it interesting and hilarious.
I found it interesting. I found it entertaining.
Yeah.
One thing that I found kind of unusual was like the way the story was told, because like when especially the first girl, when she was talking about him, it was like she was talking like from a place where she still loved the man, where it was like she was telling the story like, I mean, the person you love is telling you that he's in trouble, so what else are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
I understand, like, if he was actually not a scammer, you talking like that. But we all know, he scammed you.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tell the story like what it was? The guy told me this, and this is what happened. Not like, oh, I loved him, so I was out there to, I had to make it work and blah 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 blah. I'm like, he scammed you. Tell the story like that.
But you know what? To the point Elle made, I think the reason that happened is because he really pulled on the right strings. And even after the scam, she's still there like, yo, this guy was like the perfect guy. Like he was and she still probably still feels like he is, but for some reason he decided to run the scam. So she's still looking at the good side of him. Like the whole scam thing is like, okay, whatever happened, money's money, it's gone. But he's still there and she still feels like he's still a
you're
good guy.
absolutely right.
And on top of it, he's still dating, which means other women are still finding him interesting. So she's still there like, okay, he's still a decent guy to these women if they find him interesting after knowing the scam.
You're absolutely right, because both of the women, I mean, not the only woman that seemed to like get over him was the last one.
Yeah, when she sold his clothes.
Yes.
She was pissed. She was like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Like it seemed like the first two girls, if he came up to them and were like, yo, listen, I'm really sorry about what happened, but like I promise if you give me a second chance, I will change and I'll be the man that you thought I was. They will let him in, because I think it was the second girl still had the crown beside his name and didn't change it because he was her Prince Charming. And then the first girl still had like a heart or some other kind of like a romantic emoji to express the guy's name in her phone log. First of all, why is the man still in your phone log?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think yeah, go ahead.
The first girl was still saying how she like still read the text messages that they went through, because like she was saying how like the idea of that fantasy was like so perfect. She still wants to hold on to it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, when he really knew how to make this relationship into something that she always wanted. It's like he knew what she wanted. He made it to that extent, to the point where she believes like it's possible with him. I don't know if like she would go back. Like I can't say for sure, but I think she has the idea of who he was before, or who he was pretending to be. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's who she hoped he was and still hopes that he will be. But it's like, that's not who he is. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, because it's like, it's not who he is, but she has that fantasy in her mind that who he was trying to be before he swindled her was the person that she wants him to be. But it's not realistic. This is the real person is the scammer. That's who he is. Right.
So I have a question. In watching that whole documentary, where do you think it all went wrong, or where she, I guess, where maybe that they could have disconnected, or she could have,
or where
approached it a little different. Yeah, saved herself
thousands of dollars a day.
Yeah. Because I felt there was a point in that whole documentary where she could have kind of said, you know what, let's do this instead of that. And I felt like she almost jumped into the frying pan, and like I said, fell for the bait, and that's where he was able to rope her in, essentially. So do you guys feel there was a point, or do you know which point that is?
to the point though where she could have said no? I don't think there would have. I mean, it's a process, right? So it's not just, hey, I met you one day, can I have money? It takes time, right? I think it took like months or whatever for finally, you know, they met up in another country. They slept together. Like, it wasn't just, hey, I met this person and that's it. There was a connection that she felt with him and he felt with her. And he sent her photos of him and his bodyguard being bleeding. It was the same photo that he sent every girl. So he really thought about, it's like, mind you, this guy started when he was 18. Remember when they visited his mom? Remember when they went to go visit his mom? And she said, he's no longer my son. This is not my son anymore.
She disowned him.
She disowned him. And from the age of 18, he left home, and he's been in jail before for doing this. And he's been trying to fine tune this whole con for quite a while. So this is somebody who's worked hard to make sure this thing works. He's like, this didn't work last time. Let me try this. So I mean, I don't know if there was anything she could have done. I mean, it's hard when you really care about, like, think of the person that you love calls you and tells you, like, think just personally, whoever, girlfriend, or, you know, I'm not sure if you're married, Thibaut, but like, say if they called you and said, I need this amount of money because I have people after me and they're in another country. Like, let's say they go on vacation, they tell you to send it. Most likely, if you're in that committed relationship, I could see people sending the money to be like, I'll pay you back. He even said that too. It wasn't like, send me the money and that's it. He was like, money's on its way. It's the same thing as Anna Delvey. If you watched Inventing Anna, who's another.
I haven't seen that yet.
Basically another swindler who would have they would say the exact same thing. They would send the money and they would say, why money's being wired. It'll be there in a few days. You should get the money. So it's like, she believed what he was saying. We're humans. We're going to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
We're never, you know, especially people that we care about, we're most likely going to think, why would you do this to somebody that you love?
Yeah. But then I guess with that, I feel like she could have, that was almost a red flag to me. Sorry. Because if I'm with somebody that I know is, you know, well off, and they've, you know, showed me all these pictures and they've listed all these kind of businesses that they own, like, that gives you an idea of what kind of wealth they have. So to, like, just almost out of nowhere just say, I have no money to do anything, like no money anywhere. People who are wealthy they have the means, even if they're, you know, they don't have the usual amount of money, they have something tucked away where they don't have to necessarily ask someone, unless, like, you know, they completely lose everything or it's tied up in whatever. But I just thought that was one red flag right there to say, okay, guy, you're this wealthy, rich business person. You own a diamond. What is a company that?
It was a diamond company.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure so many people Google that diamond company that they're like, well, you're putting me on the map, even though this kid has nothing to do with this diamond company.
So I find
that diamond company's like, I got Google search so much.
Yeah. So I just feel like with that, it right there should have been, okay, you know what? That's a little odd. And you're asking me for this, like, so much money already, and you're rich. That to me was already should have been a red flag for her to
remember
say,
he said he couldn't get into his account, like he can't get into anything. So
I know
it's
y'all remember the movie Catch Me If You Can?
I've never seen it.
That was with Leo
DiCaprio.
Yeah.
That's who this guy is.
Yeah. I know of him. I know because he's based on a true person who actually did this
and like, this is why he was able to prolong the scam as long as he was able to do it, because he set up such a elaborate backstory that it seemed plausible. So, first of all, right, almost from the bat, he told her that I have a bunch of enemies and they might be after you too. Then, when
cut him off right there, man.
Perhaps, but when you're a woman who's not used to fancy stuff and you have this guy who you think is amazing, who you think is handsome, and
who wants to marry you, wants kids with you,
who's giving you all this fancy stuff, you might want to, like, you know, see where it goes, regardless of all the possible dangers. Now, when he told the girl about the ambulance situation, how he even set that up is beyond me. Because he had pictures of the man bleeding in the ambulance.
A couple of props here and there, you know, it's possible.
Where are you getting the ambulance from?
bruh. You can if you're serious, if you're a swindler,
you
you
could
can
probably
get
pay somebody to like
thank you.
rent it out or
But
something,
it just goes
or maybe
to
it was
show,
a real incident that happened like years ago, and he just reusing
And
the
you just
same.
that's true.
That could have
so
happened.
it just goes to show how much thought and elaboration was put into his whole
It
plot.
was.
Oh yeah, he didn't
So he
freestyle
told her
this.
that. He told her that. Then told her my enemies could trace my use of my bank card. That's why I need money from you. So with all that said, in her head, the story being told was like, hey, listen, this guy's in trouble. I love him. His enemies already are looking into all his accounts. I have to give him money. Of course, it wasn't the case.
Okay.
No.
Even remember when I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but he basically made her because she kept borrowing money, and it got to the point where like she had basically no means to borrow any more money. So he made it look like she was an employee for the company that he worked at.
Yeah. To give her a salary.
How do you do that?
Yeah. But LLCs, man, that's what LLCs are for.
Yeah.
Apparently, allegedly, that's
Okay, forget the how. The amount of
the lengths that he went to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the man thought of everything. But then again, it said that he was arrested in I can't remember the country for Finland for defrauding 3 women. So the man probably practiced. He perfected his perfected his scamming game.
He knew what was legal and not. Yeah, he knew what was legal.
He knows what he was doing.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Hindsight's 2020. We're watching it and we're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't fall for that. You'd be surprised how many people still fall for things like this. When people think about people who have like sociopathic or psychopathic tendencies, like they know how to manipulate the situation and manipulate people's minds, because there's a lack of emotion towards the individual, right? It's not really, they don't really care too much about your feelings. It's more or less it's all about them and what they want. It's all about and it was also when he was trying to get money from them, and I forget which one, it was the first or second girl, and she couldn't give the money. Oh no, I think it was the third one. When he was trying to get the money from selling the clothes.
He flipped on her.
Or I don't know if I quoted that. She did sell the clothes, but she said for him. That's why I quoted it, because she was like selling for him, but then she was going to keep the money.
She knew what she was
doing. Like, where's the money? Where's the money? And you see this, how he, when someone who is, especially like a narcissist, when you don't get your way, you see how angry he got at her. And he was basically saying like, you're gonna die, like he went off because he had no control, right? He had no control, and he knew that he was no money. He had to sleep in a hostel, and
he was looking like, terrible, man. He sent that selfie. What?
Like again, he's trying to use her emotion, but she was over it. The third one, she was.
That girl had no emotion. She had no emotion.
She's like, I don't even care anymore. You used me, and now I'm getting my money back because I believed that you were this individual. So let me turn it on you. And yes, not a lot of people are like that. Others are a little bit more, they feel shame and they won't do anything about it. But she was like, no, I'm going to turn it back on you. And she ended up, he kept going back and forth. 1 minute he's like, I'm sorry for saying what I said, and then he'll go back and yell at her again. And so this is the mind of like those type of people. Thankfully there are not a lot of them out there, but it's easy to watch and just be saying that, I would never be in that situation, but then it ends up being that it's possible.
Yeah. Now, do you feel, I'm pretty sure it does, but do you feel it happens currently? Maybe not at the, Swindler level where he's fronting like he's a bigwig, but just at the average person level, people finessing, I guess maybe men finessing women, pretend to have more than they have, renting luxury cars and just to draw. You feel that like a lot of people are being swindled right now?
Absolutely.
Because the dating thing right now is all about apps. It's all about, swipe left or right and matching and this and that. So I feel that creates an opportunity to create a character. So
there are people who have YouTube channels based on finessing people.
That's all it is.
I did not know that.
That's true.
Okay.
Instagram influencers are swindling people now, telling them that, hey, if you buy my program, you will lose a certain amount of like the what do you call those workout Instagram fitness influencers? That's what they are. Literally anybody who's naturally thin, who has a good face, will go online and be like, I'm a trainer and a nutritionist, and then they can just swindle you. I mean, they won't say those exact words, but they will act like they are and say, I do these workouts in order to stay as, you know, this size, or even guys who are already, you know, maybe, you know, not, you know, buff or whatever, but they are not trainers and they're not a nutritionist, but they'll swindle because they know they have so many followers, and those people will do what they can to look like those individuals. So yeah, this happens as we speak, daily. Even for other, and yes, in dating as well, like to answer your question, but I definitely think it's everywhere. So,
have you guys ever been swindled?
For money?
Just for anything. It could be money, it could be opportunity, it could just be, just anything.
I think I almost did for a job, but then I realized that this job was too good to be true. And I was like, this is not, this is not a real, it seemed like it was a couple of times. I didn't actually, my paranoia kicked in, thank God.
Oh, was it like a job scam?
Yeah, it was a job scam situation where this person wanted to, I was looking for a job, and I think they found me on LinkedIn or something. And I can tell that by the conversation, especially when they were asking me for my, what do you call it? My SIN number or social insurance. Number over on the email. I was like, no, thank you, sir.
No one does that.
Like,
true.
So I just emailed her back. I'm like, okay, so you're definitely trying to scam me. So please don't email me again, or else I'm calling the cops. And that was it. It's like, once you're asking me for my SIN number, it's over. I'm not doing it. Yeah.
A lot of that happens.
Speaking of scamming jobs, this is when I was still at Oakwood.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to talk about.
I think I know which one it is, because I was going to say there's another one that happened when I was in Oakwood too.
So a bunch of us went to go work at a call center that was not too far from a school. It was just down the street. It was on St. Clair somewhere.
Okay.
And it was a call center. While working there, I felt so uncomfortable on the phone because it seemed like the people that we're hawking credit cards. But it seemed like the people we were calling were like the most. It seemed like these people had like no money whatsoever.
Probably elderly or people on disability. Yes, that they always go after those people. Yeah.
So like, I told the dude that told us about the job. I'm like, yo, and this was on a Friday. We went to work on a Friday.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, something doesn't feel right about this. I don't know about coming in again.
Yeah.
So on the Monday, I saw in the newspaper that same exact office was raided by the FBI.
Well, FBI is American, but yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, RCMP.
No. It was the FBI because they were calling American.
Oh, an American.
Shoot.
Y'all had the federales up in there. Jeez.
Wow.
That's serious.
I'll never forget it.
I had something similar at Oakwood because they came to Oakwood and it was. Sorry?
Well, I opened the newspaper and it was the exact same office. All the computers were ripped out. All the stuff. I'm like, yo, this place is empty now. I told y'all there was something fishy.
Something was fishy. Go with your gut. Yeah. No, yeah, I had something in Oakwood as well, where a bunch of us went for an interview. But when we went to the place in the building, it was like the office of they would interview, this one person was interviewing. First, we all sat in a room, and then they showed us what we were going to do and what the whole company is about. But no one understood what it was about. Like it was as if they were explaining, but not making sense as to what they were explaining, what the job was. And so I looked at, a couple of my friends, because they asked you in the interview, do you know anybody else who wants jobs? And we were 17 at the time. So they always do that. And so I was like, yeah, I know a couple of people. So I invited it. So it was about 6 of us. And I just remember looking over during this meeting in this room and looking at my friend and like, do you know what they're talking about? Like, what is this company? What is it about? And then you go individually to the office, and this guy had nothing in his office. He had like one picture, and you could tell this was like something's kind of off on this. And what they would ask is, in order to start the business, we need your credit card. So of course, all 6 of us were like, we'll buy, see you later.
Yeah.
We just all ended up leaving like, no, thank you. We already know sounds very scammy. So thank God we ended up leaving. So, I think we were 18 or 19 at the time. Yeah.
Y'all were smart.
Yeah, thank
So
God.
I have a question. Let's say you were in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you would just keep giving the money? Or would it have come to a point where you'd be like, you know what? Nah, I don't have it.
Yeah. First of all, I wouldn't, if somebody were to offer to fly somewhere, I would say no anyway, because I watch a lot of true crime, like a lot of other men. So for me, my whole thing would be like, I don't want to get murdered, so I'm not getting on a plane.
So
you
can I quickly cut you off there? Can I quickly cut you off there? So that for me was the point where I said that was a red flag, and he lured her in with the, hey, why don't you just come fly with me?
My private jet.
I know we just meeting for coffee for the first time, but hey, I have a jet, and she just texted her friend, is like, yo, this guy wants to. Yeah. And it was like, I think she said YOLO or something along those lines.
She did say that.
Yeah, she said YOLO. That's right.
So I felt like
that's where it was a bigger red flag. The fact that his baby mom's and child was on the plane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a red flag. It's just weird. It's just like,
that's a red flag.
I don't know if it's a red flag.
I mean, it depends on the type of relationship. I mean,
that is a red flag.
It may not be a red flag.
Because it's not like you're going out to dinner and she's there. It's like you're on a plane and
you're
taking
be flying
her with
back
you.
Home. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how I would see it if I was, I wouldn't think of it as a red flag. I'd just be, because I mean, there's room. Why not? If she says, hey, I have to take her back home, I'm going to take her with me. It's not like she was in the hotel sitting at dinner. I'd be like, that's weird. That's a little bit, I mean, people take their kids on dates. And that was like a thing that I was listening to in another podcast where this guy emailed and saying, is it weird if I were to take my son on my date with me? Because my ex-wife can't take him. So I was like, on your first date?
Yeah, that'd be weird.
So
unless the other person has a child, then it could be like a double date.
With the kids, yeah. I mean, let's go to bowling, I guess.
Play date.
It'd be a play date.
But I'm not going to dinner in a bar with like a guy that has the kid, like, right?
Yeah, that'd be a little weird.
That's a little weird. So I don't know, but they were on a plane, so I don't know. I wouldn't think of it as but I could see what you mean, that it could be a red flag, but I wouldn't personally think it was a red flag.
And I don't know. The red flag for me was really just, you want to hop on my private jet and just, fly to some random country.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of like you going on a first date with a guy and he's like, you want to go back to my place? I live in a condo. I live in a mansion. You want to go back and just Netflix and chill and just hang out. It's almost to me, it's almost the same. And I felt like that maybe could have been where she stopped the whole scam thing. And maybe she would have got to know him more. And then he may have asked for money right away. And she would have been like, whoa, this is a little weird. You're a little pushy. But again, he probably said all the right things and he presented himself so well. And even looking at him, I'm like, he looks like a harmless, nice guy that like a lot of women would fall for, especially when he's successful. And he carries himself like a, level-headed person until, the ugly side came out and I will destroy you.
Yeah.
My enemies will find you. Like he said, my enemies will find you. So they're not your enemies. You're working
with them.
I know where you live. I know where your mother lives.
Yeah, he called the first girl's mother's house.
Yeah.
Because she called from there before and he kept calling the house, and even the mom was getting scared.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was really, when he wasn't getting his way, or when she was, to give her credit, like she was helping the second girl as well to get this story out with the Finnish, I think it was the Finnish journalist, the journalist from Finland, I think it was, or was it somewhere I forget which country, but she was trying to get this story out, and they were helping, and I think he knew that she was kind of behind something. So even though she loved him, she still was trying to expose who this person was.
Yeah.
You know.
So here's the thing. I feel like he was not working on his own, because
definitely
we talked
not.
about this was way too elaborate, way too detailed, and it just seemed like a whole organizational type of business where he was just a face. He's just the face, and then all these other people are like, this is what you do, this is where we go, and they just had everything connect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, it was, I don't know. I feel like he had a team working behind him. Because at the end of it all, how much did he say he made off all of these women that he swindled?
Millions.
Like over 20 mil, I think.
A lot, yeah. Yeah,
over
roughly.
20 mil?
Over 20 mil.
Yeah. Over the time since he was 18 till now. Like he's been over.
That's still a lot.
You were talking about just them 3 girls.
No, that's still a lot, man.
No, there was about, if you remember, there was pictures of the different girls that he swindled. There's quite a bit of women that he was going after for this money thing.
Over
I remember watching a Dateline Australia episode, and it was about Nigerian scammers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, I think, either New Zealand or Australia, they're scamming like older women. And it was basically the same thing as what this guy was doing, except for they never actually met. So it was like what you were talking about before. Yes.
But they brought down the Nigerians, so I'm not gonna lie. I think those guys did time.
Here's the thing. Those guys were like what you were talking about. They were working as a group, as a unit.
Yeah.
So like everybody was basically a team. There was one guy doing all the scamming online, and everybody was getting a cut out of it. And they were making a stupid amount of money.
Yep.
A stupid amount of money. They scammed people so badly that they created a support group specifically for people that were scammed by Nigerians.
Wow.
Because the reason they have this whole romance scam and romance fraud is because of
the 419 boys.
Yeah. Our cousins back home decided to but no, it's but the fact is they made them look worse than the Tinder Swindler. Tinder Swindler got a Netflix special and he's still swindling, and
that's a good point.
He's still doing his thing.
It's interesting that they were looking for him in Israel, like he's from Israel. So the Israel authorities had him on the watch list in order to get him. And I think finally Interpol, when they found out where he was and the scheme, like they finally arrested him and brought him to Israel. He was supposed to be in jail for 16 months, I think. And he was there for like 4.
Yeah.
Like I was like, you guys literally was looking for this guy for years and you only kept him in jail for 4 months. Like, why even bother at this point?
Because he's coaching everyone. They're like, how did you do it?
Geez, now he's making a business on how to do it. Like
now he's a dating counselor and a guru and all of this stuff.
He's making money off of this whole.
He's on Cameo.
I think he's trying. Yeah, he's on Cameo. I think a lot of the other. I think it was Tinder has blocked him, so like he's no longer allowed on Tinder. I think obviously, and Bumble, and I think also Hinge as well. But I think Cameo is the only one that he's on right now, and one other one I think that he's not blocked from. So, and I think he started some online business that you can pay for if you want.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. So
I think he's trying to sell a book to like a book deal or something. He's really utilizing this fame right now in order to get legit money, actual like real money. So it's like, did we really do anything except help him? Like that's the
I think
just about to say that.
We made his business a lot more lucrative.
Thank you.
And legitimate too. Now he can legitimately get money without swindling people.
Now he has more followers on Instagram, and now he has more. Yeah, you just made him more infamous than.
Yeah. Now, have you guys been on or are currently on any dating platforms?
No? I've been on. Been on, of course. I don't know who hasn't in this day for millennials, but in the past, I haven't been on it recently, so I have people are telling me it's a lot different now in the app world.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm on it, and I've seen it change, and I feel like during the pandemic it's changed a lot. And how so? I'm curious.
Yeah, how exactly? How was it before and then after, or during now, I guess?
So I felt like beforehand, like before the whole pandemic, I felt people were just willing to meet. There was less questions being asked. It was more, let me just meet this person and feel them out and see how the vibes go.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, obviously, no one, you can't go anywhere. So everyone's just keeping it as I guess, low key. But recently I've noticed there's been a lot, I guess, for me as a male, I noticed women ask a lot more detailed questions.
Was this before or after the Tinder Swindler?
I think after the Tinder Swindler, like recently, like the past couple weeks, I've noticed like the line of questioning is a lot different, and it's a little bit more drilled down into like more detail. Like, okay, yeah, please expand on what you mean by you do this for a living, and where exactly do like it's ridiculous. And can you make sure you send me this picture? It's more detailed than like I feel like there's more.
This is why I think. This is why I think the Tinder Swindler guy is I can't remember his name. You have to Google his name, but this is why
Simon
I think
Leviev.
That's right, Simon.
Leviev.
Yeah, Leviev or Leviev. Yeah. So Simon. This is why I think Simon is actually because he worked hard in changing this. I don't want to call him a genius, but I think he's just evil. I don't want to give him Elon Musk of the dating. I don't want to give him that credit. But because women always Google everyone that they date. Just FYI to you guys. They need
I know this. I know.
Yeah, just in case anyone who's like listening who doesn't know this, but women like to Google the men that they date in order to make sure that you don't have because if you have a history of going to jail, if you're a pedophile, like just mostly for those reasons, it'll pop up and be like, okay, this person's clearly a criminal. We don't want to deal with this person. But just for like specifically that reason. But so even when the first girl, when she met him, she Googled his name and she saw that was a real diamond company. Yeah. So he knew that they would do this. He knew that the women would Google him because they probably didn't do that last time when he tried when he was younger, but then he probably finessed while he was in jail, how he could have made it more authentic to, because women are pretty good detectives. We can figure a lot of things out.
No, that's facts. That's facts.
So he really made sure to do what he had to do in order to put the blinders on. So I'm not surprised about the questions.
No, I guess neither am I. And you are right. Women are very good detectives because I've had chats and conversations. I've never mentioned anything about like social media or whatever platforms I'm on, and out of nowhere it's like, oh, you have a podcast. I saw you on YouTube. I'm like, what? And I never made mention of this any which way. And I guess they just kind of, did their due diligence and found stuff out. But here's a secret I'm going to share as well. Men also Google.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm going to be honest. I'm notorious. If I exchange numbers with a woman, I'm going to Google that phone number and see where it leads. Because I've done that in the past and I've seen it lead to various different things that were never mentioned. Yeah, and things that I would have never expected because they carry themselves a completely different way. And then
wait, now you have to tell me the story. I want to know.
I gotta tell. Okay. So probably say a handful of times I've exchanged numbers and then just interacting with these women.
Yeah.
I kind of start getting a hint, not deceit, but there's more to the story, and right. I'm an inquisitive person. So when I try to put two and two together, and one thing I would do is say, what, based on what you're telling me or the conversations we're having, it sounds like it might be along these lines. So I just Google the number and poof, I see an advertisement. I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. And that's happened a few times. So nowadays I religiously do it. And Ibo, I think I sent you a link of a recent Google.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
And this is one of those influencers that you would think is just on, Instagram promoting fitness and well-being, and there's a lot more going on. So yeah.
What is it, like OnlyFans or something? Like, what do they have that's like?
It's deeper than. It's deeper than only. It is an OnlyFans, but it's deeper than fitness. Is what all I.
Ever heard about Backpage?
No.
Backpage.
Oh, you're so innocent.
If we're gonna.
Innocent. I know. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so have you heard of Pornhub?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
I've heard
porn.
that.
All that's so yeah. That's basically kind of.
Oh, so you see like
Oh,
that
yeah,
that's where
that's
they
even worse than
are?
Backpage. Even worse than Backpage.
How
Yeah.
did you? Oh, that's
Google does,
interesting.
yeah. You Google
I
a
mean,
phone
in
number.
that
Here's the thing.
situation,
You Google a phone number, it'll
it
lead
was
to.
kind of careless.
But here's the thing. Let me explain how it works. You Google a phone number, it could lead to an ad. An ad could lead to a whole bunch of social media links and monikers that you could follow. And then you say, oh, you're also so-and-so on Instagram, and you're so-and-so on TikTok, and you're so-and-so on OnlyFans. And oh my gosh, you also have a Pornhub and all these other websites. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, I indulge in such websites.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying you got to let people know these things and not portray this.
And people think women are detectives. Don't cheat on this guy.
It's not even don't cheat on me. Just keep your stories consistent, and I'll be fine with it. It's like the moment you tell a lie, I'll look into it. And if it doesn't add up, then it is what it is. But if it adds up, I don't care. I don't judge. There's nothing wrong with it. Just be forthcoming with.
Just be honest about it.
Yeah, that's all it is. I see nothing wrong with it. I've met women who are open about what they do and what their pasts are, and it's perfectly fine. It's just let me know ahead of time so I can be either prepared for it or I can remove myself if it's not something
absolutely
I'm willing to.
Yeah, like give the person the opportunity to say if they want to be part of this with you.
That's all. Yeah, it's just almost like
okay with it. Yeah.
You as a woman, if you're talking to a guy that's in the criminal world or selling drugs and stuff, you'd want him to be honest about it and not hold information from you to where you end up in a situation where you're caught up and you're like, bro, why didn't you tell me you were
doing all this stuff?
Yeah, so it's just good to be honest, and that's just how I base it on. Just be honest. And I guess the Tinder swindler was kind of honest, but he exaggerated the truths a little. I don't even know if he lied. That's the other thing. Did he really
lie? He lied about everything. What are you talking about?
He wasn't related to that. He wasn't related to that.
He wasn't related to the diamond.
Okay. You're right. I almost believed the lies too. Like it was so good.
After him.
Yeah.
His name wasn't even Simon. It was Shimon.
Okay, my bad. He did lie then.
The man lied about everything.
He did such a good job. It just sounded so good that he's still getting dates to this day.
He convinced you.
He did.
He convinced you, and you're like, well, he didn't really lie. You almost gave him money. You're like, listen, let me just give him.
I almost sent him a GoFundMe. Trust me.
You almost sent me some money. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like
he's charming.
He made me believe he was the victim.
He did.
These women led him on and sent him money, and then all of a sudden they're calling him a swindler. He's a good guy. I'm joking. I'm just joking right now.
No, I know.
You're joking, but there's so many guys out there that herald this guy like a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see why again.
For all the women that finessed me.
But those are like incels though. Those are like incel men who hate women. They're like, oh, finally, like they just don't. They're just, that's a very weird niche group of men who just
I wouldn't even say
women.
necessarily incels, but people who have probably been finessed themselves.
That couldn't get their own get back. So it's like,
there
yes,
you go.
One for the team. Yes.
We all have stories of like being in relationships or dating people who are, not who they are. Maybe not money wise, or maybe it could be that you felt that you were being led on in some way. But I don't I don't think I'd still look at what he did, even if it was the other way around. But to be fair, actually, there are a lot of women who also are. This is why I kind of stopped watching the series. But the Inventing Anna, who's, if you guys watch it, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a female version of.
Okay.
But she does it through the banks. She kind of swindles the banks to get a lot of money.
Oh, she's a Robin Hood then.
And banks and friends. She kind of like one girl as well.
Leave it at the banks. She'd be a hero if she left it at the banks.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are kind of looking at her as because how Hollywood, because it's not a documentary, it's actually just a series that Shonda Rhimes did based upon her. So it was a little bit of embellishment in some ways, but it overall the story is correct. Like it did happen where she pretended to be someone else that she wasn't. She changed her last name. Anyway, but some of the women are just kind of like, oh, they're like loving this chick. And I'm just like, she kind of the sociopath, right? Like she swindled a whole bunch of people, are like rich people for money and their resources. And but yeah, it's happens both ways where
That's kind of a thing I noticed where it's like people like bad guys now.
Yeah, well, there are also women who are into criminals as well. Like you see how many people who were into Ted Bundy, and I'm like, this guy literally raped and killed a whole bunch of women, and you think that he's innocent? Like,
who's the other guy? Manson.
Yeah,
Manson was on. Yeah, I heard
has a lot of women. Yeah, also
he didn't kill nobody himself.
Yeah, but he's manipulated.
He swindled.
Exactly, he swindled a whole bunch of people to it. Cult following. It was basically like a cult following. It was just people have done that. Jim Jones, like how many thousands of people in one place?
Oh yes,
drank it, the juice.
What's the guy? That's where that term came from.
That's where you say, "Oh, you're drinking the Kool-Aid." That's where it comes
from. That's where it comes from.
Exactly.
But what's that guy's name? The jailbait, I think they call him. Who? That one guy that had the mugshot and everybody fell in love with him and he became a model after.
Oh, that was like
something Jenkins or whatever his name was.
Yeah, I think I know you're talking. Yeah, it was I
watched a documentary on that guy. That's an interesting.
He had a documentary
on YouTube. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but just Google his or YouTube his name and type in documentary. His family is just
messed up.
It was meant to happen. Like like his whole life was designed to be that way based on what transpired. It was just messed up to hear. It's sad, but it's an interesting. That was an interesting one too.
I saw a YouTube clip of a chick who only dates people in jail.
What?
But so here's the thing. So yes, women are attracted to bad guys, but then I also feel like men are also attracted to quote unquote
baddies.
The popular thing to say now is baddies, which is essentially the female version of the bad guy.
I never been with a baddie.
No, I feel like am I misunderstanding it? But I feel like it's the same thing.
No, I feel you.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true.
Because I feel like we all fall victim one way or another, or we all get swindled one way or another. The smart thing to do is just to be self-aware.
I mean, when you're charming, sometimes that could be.
It's hard, yeah.
Some people fall for the charm over substance, right? So it's easy for them to get to that. I think men visually mostly get charmed that way, but women probably get charmed usually by what the guy's saying or what they're providing or whatever. So
we all have our vices, and men it is visual, women it could be emotional, and it could also be
stuff,
material stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, just I guess we're gonna wrap up shortly, but before we wrap up, I just want to kind of see if you guys want to offer any
advice.
I guess maybe from male perspective and the female perspective for people not to get swindled or to avoid, even though it may be hard in some situations, but what are some best practices to avoid being swindled?
I was gonna say,
you go first.
You kind of touched upon this. People kind of touched upon this earlier, but it's one thing to give somebody money that you love or think you love, but if it comes down to you having to take out loans and selling personal possessions to give that person money, especially a person who claims they're wealthy, you might want to rethink that. And maybe just put a stop to it right there.
Yeah, I think as a female, I would say to other females who hopefully will see this, I don't know, but I would say don't give everything in the beginning of a relationship. If this person is who they, say they are, you'll find out. And especially when you hook up with somebody or sleep with them, I guess it's you can get blinded by light so easily. So hold out, ladies, please, like really hold out, because if somebody really wants to be with you, they'll wait. I'm not saying you have to wait till marriage, but I'm just saying wait longer than a month and let's see, or a couple dates. And I think, and don't believe everything you hear. it's not wait till their actions. And this is the part, or see, yeah, I mean, this is where it gets difficult because he was showing love as well, it seemed like. So this is where it gets kind of hard because you, as much as you can say, it's better to wait for actions over words, which is men or women, regardless. Like even a guy who's dating a girl should always wait for their actions rather than what they're saying and make sure the actions match what they're saying. But yeah, it's hard because he did a really good job. It's hard. I don't know how they could have avoided this just because the way he did it, it was really, really good.
They should have stopped at taking out loans. You should not be going.
No, you should. That's not love. That's definitely not love.
There's no reason why you're going broke because you're financing a supposedly rich man.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he said he was paying them back. Like he didn't give them any reason at the time to believe that he was a liar. That's where that's what's so difficult.
Point of you not receiving any money back.
Yeah.
But again, him being rich, I think the idea is he's gonna have the money. That's not an issue.
It's all
I'm gonna be with this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna be with him. That's my boyfriend. He has the money.
After a certain point of not getting money back, I think there was times where like he was supposed to get money, like he sent checks, but like the money never came. After a certain point, you gotta be like, you know what? That's it. I'm calling it.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of one of those, he's talking about his life here, right? So you're saying I don't know. It's so hard. I mean, hindsight's 2020. We're saying this because we're watching it and we know, and we're not in it. So I can see.
You just hope that you make better decisions.
Oh, I hope so. I'm just already paranoid as it is when I date people. So that's just me. I think this is probably why I'm single. I'm like, I don't trust anybody.
I think that's why a lot of people are single.
Trust issues. Yeah. So I think that's probably what I mean.
Social media has destroyed trust.
No, well, I've always been kind of like this, but I think even before, it sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I've had a couple guys who've asked to go on vacation when I went on one date with them. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm not trying to die. Because in my mind, you're going to chop my body up and put in the ocean. So that's not. Okay. So that's, again, because I watch true crime. So my mind's always thinking like someone's ready to, you have to be careful. I'm going to meet in a place where it's a crowded place. I'm not going to your place on the first date. Like I'm very kind of mostly paranoid in that when it comes to dating. So I think, some women are just a little more trusting, and maybe that's the issue. They just need to be less trusting. But then after, you don't want to be this person who doesn't trust anybody as well.
Because that makes dating hard when you can't. There's no point in dating if you can't trust.
And people, and like I said, humans give other people they love the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. That's just, you don't believe someone who loves you. There are people who've been swindled by their own family and their own spouses.
Yeah, facts. Okay.
They're like people who've been married to men and they had double lives and they had other families. And you're like, you would never believe that your husband would like have another family somewhere else giving them money. Like that's crazy, or your own parents, or, sometimes I've heard stories of people's parents who's taken their own kids' money and swindled them. And you trust that your child, you trust that your parent would not do that to you. So
did that happen to Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
A lot of those child stars that happened to.
Exactly. Their parents took their money. So I don't know. It's hard. I know your question. I don't think I answered it, but it's hard. I can try to think of things, but he's a specific situation, but I don't think you're going to come across. I think this is a good idea that Netflix did this because it's like, hey, now you can kind of watch for signs already to see what could be.
I guess just be careful.
Yeah, you just got to be careful.
And that's what I was going to say is my advice is really, and I live this, is just approach it with no expectations except to enjoy the experience with somebody new. So if I'm interested in a woman and I want to take her out on a date, I'm not expecting the world. I'm not expecting her to sleep with me. I'm not expecting her to like me right away, but I'm like, I'm attracted to you and I want to see what it's like to be in your presence. So I want to take you out, or at least I want to go on a date with you and see what happens from that point. If nothing happens, I'm not disappointed because I wasn't expecting it. I just wanted to go. I personally wanted to go out, whether, you know, you were swindling me for a dinner, whatever the case may be. I wanted to do it. If something happens and we like each other, then that's a different ballgame. Then, you know, I can explore that and, you know, have higher expectations at that point. But for me, it's just, I go out for the experience. And if I, you know, if it's disappointing, then it is what it is. I enjoyed my time because I went out, I got some good food, I got to drink, and I had a good conversation. It just never clicked the way it is. And I'm happy with the outcome of dating that way, if I approach it that way, as opposed to going and saying she must like me because, you know, I said all these wonderful things to her and I told her how beautiful she was and I took her out and I paid for everything. So she must be interested. I'm not, when I was younger, yes, but as I got older, no, I can't, I don't think that way anymore. So
I think men are better in that way, where they go into dates without expectations. And that's great. It's a great advice. I think women need to do that as well. I think men are better at doing that. They just go into the date. They just want to have fun and see where it goes, rather than having this, oh, it better go well, and like having, too much of a high expectation. So that's actually good advice for everybody, both men and women, but mostly women, to not go into dates with any expectations, and to understand the difference between what love is and when you're actually infatuated with somebody, or if you're lusting over someone. I think that's the confusion is some people have, is that they confuse lust with love. And love takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And you can lust somebody,
even though they say love at first sight, I get that, but it could also be lust disguising itself as love.
Exactly. And you have to wait it out and see and what it really is, and not to assume it's love just because someone tells you they love you.
I got an interesting question.
Ask it quick before we get shut down again, Debo.
Is love necessary for a long-term relationship?
Oh, hell yeah.
You think so?
Long-term?
Yeah.
For a long-term relationship, you got to love someone.
Hell no.
You gotta love someone. To be with someone in any long-term relationship, whether it's family, friendship, right? You gotta have some type of level of love for them. Period.
I think you should be able to like them. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I think companionship, compatibility, I think compatibility is and chemistry,
trust
is important as well.
And there's levels to love too. I don't want to get into all deep into that, but there are levels to love too. Like you can love someone or have love for someone, or deeply love somebody. It's just it's love is
I think love's important, but I don't think it's the only, like, if you had only love, I don't think that would last. I would not, that's not gonna last. You need other things besides just, oh, I love this person, in order for a relationship to be long-term.
Because I can't be with someone that I just like for a long-term relationship, because at some point I'm gonna stop liking you. I feel like if I love you, I'm gonna love you regardless. If we fight, whatever.
I'm thinking, I was thinking the opposite. I think love you can go in and out of, but I think if you consistently like the person, you're most likely gonna stick with them.
Really?
Because people fall out of love and all the time, but
then it goes back to what you guys were talking about before. If you can fall so out of love that quickly, was it love or was it just lust? And the lust.
Well, maybe not quickly. Like you could be married to somebody for 10 years, and they become your best friend, and you can fall out of love with the person. But I think if you also have other things, I think that's what keeps them together.
True.
Very true.
And maybe that's what the love is. Maybe love is the fact that
everything that comes with.
That's why I say it takes time for love. Love is not something for me that I think happens in a month or so. I mean, I think that could be confused with
you're right.
lust.
Yeah, you're right. Because you hear a lot of like older couples or women say, you know what, I didn't even like your father. I didn't love your father at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now 20 years later, I'm like, head over heels for this man. But you're right. I feel like there's levels to it, and it's so.
I think it's so much more complex.
Yeah, and I don't think we really truly understand it. I think we just have a high level understanding.
Perhaps a topic for another podcast.
Perhaps, hey.
Love for another podcast.
Love is deep. So
I like, mind you, I'm not the expert.
Based on the Tinder Swindler,
nor am I. I'll never say I'm an expert on love.
Not an expert on love.
I can only share experiences. So.
Yeah, I mean,
very true.
I can only just give her opinion that we all can only give our opinion of what we think. It doesn't mean that it's
yeah,
right.
but that's how you learn too. That's how you have a better understanding is to just have that discussion and everyone share their opinion. So
exactly, we get different opinions. So nice.
All right. So I guess we will wrap it up there, Elle.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us and having this discussion. This was lovely.
You.
Hopefully
it was
we can
great.
have you on again.
Absolutely. Whenever you guys want me on, I'll be on. It was fun. I like it.
Give us your social media stuff once again for the people.
Oh, my social media. So on Instagram, it's Elle Ramona McLaren, at Elle Ramona McLaren. And well, that's pretty much it, because on Facebook it's private. So you can't, no one's getting on my Facebook. It's more private. But my you can still follow me on Instagram. It's private there too, but I'll probably just end up opening it up again, because I actually did a podcast 2 days ago, so I have to open it up again to the public.
Okay. So make sure you follow Elle. Debo. Debo Original 220. I see it written up there.
Yep.
Oh, I should have put it on my name. That would have been easier for everybody to see it.
I didn't even think of that. I got
Debo, you're smart.
I wasn't the one that thought it up, so I can't think. I think Tebow's the one that
I thought it up and I didn't even do it.
And you didn't even do it.
It's all good. Make sure y'all follow Two Jerks in the Pod though. That's our group Instagram. Debo's got his Instagram right there, and my personal Instagram, the real Tebow, real REEL Tebow. And yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Elle, thank you for joining. Make sure you guys subscribe, YouTube, Spotify. It's on all the streaming platforms, so you guys can check out the Two Jerks in the podcast. And this has been the Tinder Swindler. I was going to call it Tinder Swindler Mingler. That sounded corny.
Say it 5 times fast.